Hello, welcome to the dollhouse. I am the doll, and today I am talking about dusty husbands on display. Husbands who are happy to take the back seat in the relationship while their wives push forward and make their lives easier. Even if their lives get harder, the husbands lean back and accept all of the new extra perks. These are dusty husbands. I'm going to read a letter that I ran across in an advice column online today. I'm going to show, of course, I will show the screenshots. So, the article is called I Earn More Money Than My Husband, but I Don't Want to Pay More of Our Bills. A person sent in a letter, and we don't even know if these letters are real, but a person sent in a letter that says this: for all of our 5-year marriage, plus the several years we lived together before that, my husband and I made roughly the same amount of money, and so split household bills and savings 50-50. This went into our joint account. The remainder went into our personal accounts for personal stuff, which included clothes, toiletries, trips we took separately, etc. This worked just dandy. I went back to school during the pandemic and will graduate this spring into a much higher paying but very demanding field. We've lightly but not definitively discussed changing the split of joint bills to be proportional to income. In theory, this sounded fair, but as we get closer, I find myself feeling a little resentful about the idea. Yes, I will be making more money, but I will be and have been working my tail off for it. It doesn't feel quite fair to be paying 75% of something I still only use 50% of. If that. My husband works from home, is self-employed, and watches a lot more TV than I do. I want the full benefit of the bigger salary I'm busting my butt for. I haven't gone on a girls' trip in 3 years. I haven't bought a new purse. I've deferred car maintenance. I stopped getting manicures and massages. I want all those things back. And it's not just luxuries. I want to pay off my credit card in full and pay off student loans and max out my 401k. Paying this much bigger chunk of the joint bills takes a big bite out of my ability to do those things. But it also doesn't seem fair to split things 50-50 when I make so much more. I know this is sort of silly and selfish, but it's lingering. How do I talk to my husband about it in a constructive way and figure out a solution that leaves us both feeling good? Is there a solution? So the person who she's asking for the advice responds and basically says nothing. Doesn't really give much advice, but does say this. They agree that neither of the options on the table, a 50-50 versus an income proportional split, sounds right for your current situation. But lucky for you, there are infinite other solutions. You don't have to pick just one. If something isn't working, you get to change it. I may be the only one who feels this way, but to me, this relationship does not feel like love at all. Now, I don't profess to know it all, but I know what feels comfortable for me is the man paying the household bills, because that way he is respected and his opinion carries more weight than my client or my employer. You know, when a woman is splitting half the bills, her employer becomes the boss of your household, really, because she has to honor their commitments so that she can continue paying the way in her relationship with you. And you're not the leader. And some men aren't meant to be leaders. Let's just face it. And that's okay. The dolls typically like men who exhibit leadership qualities. I've come to understand that a relationship with the man as the more masculine provider is not for everybody. There are some women who would prefer to be the more masculine energy, while the man is the more feminine energy. And I can see how that particular way of being works for some people. But from what I have observed, most women prefer to be the feminine energy person in their relationship. And that is a more receptive and even chaotic energy. And the regularity and structure behind paying the household bills is a very masculine thing. And so for the feminine energy woman, it can feel like an unnecessary nuisance, just buzzing about like a mosquito. And when that weight is taken off of her mind, she can be creative and she can really help you expand socially and spiritually and just push your family forward. A man should already be paying the bills in his house and be comfortable doing that. And taking and creating a relationship with a woman and being faithful should not require a bribe. The bribe being her paying half of the bills. It's like a bribe. It's like saying there's so much free vagina out here that I'm giving up to be in this relationship that you're going to have to pay me, girl. It doesn't express to me that he's ready for the bounds of the sexual fidelity. And I already made a video about why men might want to be the main ones to consider decentering sex. So I would recommend that you check it out. Because the sexual appetites make it hard for them to maintain marriages that yields nicer children and safer neighborhoods. We're seeing the effects of fatherlessness on the news all the time. When you see these kids fighting and killing one another in schools and raiding stores and shoplifting and congregating in large, massive crowds, doing donuts in the street and vandalizing businesses, beating up people for social media likes. We're seeing a detachment from reality with the very strong young men of society. This will only shift when we move in a direction of strengthening families. So, strong families have a good balance of masculine and feminine energy. This can even occur with same gender couples. There has to be a balance where one is the yin and one is the yang. Yang being the masculine and yin being the feminine essence. The balance of pleasure in partnership should be there for both. But the splitting household expenses is not how to achieve that. Splitting bills is not how to achieve pleasure in the masculine-feminine relationship. And we have an opportunity to create the best relationships in history and transition into some other kind of society that recognizes the traditional nature of relationships while also understanding that women have gifts and talents that enrich the world, and they should be able to earn money from using those gifts and talents. So, okay, let's go through these comments. So the first person says, interesting perspective. As a guy, the shoe's always been on the other foot for me. I was raised that the man was the provider. In my marriage, I paid all the bills. She, from a previous marriage, had kids that she spent all her money on. She made over $85,000 a year. After all of that, she still wanted half of everything. I begrudgingly did that, but realized my thinking was way outdated. I'll never marry again. So he lost money in his divorce. And it's probably because he cheated. But if it isn't, he agreed to it. So he begrudgingly did it, then you shouldn't have done it. Like, what did you do that made that decision okay? Because nobody can bully a man into doing anything. So anyway, someone replied to him and said, rent, don't buy. This is basically just keep a girlfriend. Hey, yeah, keep a girlfriend, fine. Women should keep boyfriends, but women do not have sex with men unless you are getting something for it. I would not recommend it. I went on a escorts site the other day, and she's charging people $120 for every time they come to her. And I think they have a time limit. Rent, don't buy. Go rent it. And, if you want it 2 times a week, that's going to run you $960 right now. So that's 8 times a month. So, and I don't have anything against that. Women, though, you just know that if a man doesn't really want commitment and doesn't give you, add to your life, if you just don't want to do it without commitment, don't. If you do, go for it. If you full well know what you're doing and are happy and you just want to get that sexual gratification, do it. But I would recommend that at least get something from it other than a wet back, other than a wet bottom. Get something more, because like Mr. Fart said, rent, don't buy. So don't have free rent. Don't be a public park where everybody can come and ride the playground equipment for no pay, okay? Okay, so Mary S. says something more. Again, the core problem is that people are getting married while actually keeping their finances separate. They each contribute to household expenses while keeping the rest of their money separate. If you are not truly in a no-holds-barred partnership, you are not in a good marriage. You are cohabitating. Marriage vows and marriage licenses do not make a marriage. A mentality of support and partnership does. Ideally, there should be no income, my income. The money should be in one pot, and 2 people should be able to agree on what to do with it. Paying off loans and making 401k contributions are a no-brainer. So there is no reason for someone not to agree on this if they are financially sensible. A loving partner should also want their partner to experience some of the comforts of life. Yes, paying $3,000 for a designer bag is annoying and really doesn't make any sense, but it's the norm now among middle-class people. She's basically saying there should be no your income, my income. The money should be in one pot. And this is the part where there's a hang-up. And people should be able to agree what to do with it. Retirement. That both people really would benefit from being on the same path, but that discussion should be had before you actually tie the knot. Like, what do we see for retirement? And what if something happens and you pass away? What if something happens and, we have this house note? Those discussions are part of the planning for marriage, because it's very much important to get the hammer out the business of things on the front end. So Patrick says, let's reverse the situation. If the husband made 4 times more than she did, would she want him to pitch in more? She would want him to continue to pay the household bills. Okay? This is why people should have the money talk before they get married. Absolutely, they should. The thing is that people want to reverse the situation. And that is where we are in history, role reversal. And a lot of men buy into role reversal, but also talk down on feminism. Like they want to adhere to the principles of women can do what men can do, there are no roles. They want to adhere to that, but then they also suffer under the weight of it because they don't really like that arrangement. And that's why they go overseas to be with women that they can afford to pay. This guy, Richard Kinley, gets it. He says, my marriage got a lot easier when I gave in to her. Her money is her money. My money is our money. Okay? You right. My marriage got a lot easier. Listen to him. My marriage got a lot easier when I gave in to her. Her money is her money, and my money is our money. That's ridiculous, but whatever works for you. Mr. Farts is back. He's been in pain. He says, Land Lease says this, mark my words, if this is real, they're getting divorced in 3 years. What happened to for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health? Or does your wedding vow only applies when he is making at least as much as you do? I always apply the following test. How would I feel if the role is reversed? Again, role reversal. If it is her husband asking this, she's going to full modern feminist on him. Well, he's speaking of feminists as someone that he doesn't like. You are married for 5 years and lived together longer than that. If he has no ambitions and just wants to watch TV all day, chances are you knew that. You had no problems with that. Now you are making more money, so you suddenly feel unfair. This is why Passport Bro exists. No, what she feels unfair is that he wants her to pay more. And this is after she worked her tail off. And he watches TV all day. She's totally happy with paying half. She doesn't have any problem with paying half. She just doesn't want to pay more. So he didn't read the article. And this is why Passport Bros exist. Passport Bros exist because men like to pay for women's companionship. And they don't really want to commit, but they want to pay for the experience. And if they do end up moving to a country or marrying a woman from a different country, it's because he can afford to be the provider. So if he is accepting her paying 50%, he's already accepting her as a full modern feminist. So the role has been reversed. How would he feel? How would you feel if the role was reversed? The logic isn't there with some of these arguments, but I thought it was interesting and I wanted to share the comments too. So I hope this is something that you can relate to. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section and I'll be talking to you soon.